Hello and welcome to Adulting 101. Today we're talking about digital citizenship. We're going to address what is digital citizenship and what does it mean to use the internet in a way that is healthy, safe, and smart. This is the quick version notes, so I'm going to invite you to pause anytime you need more time to write things down. All right, let's start with our big idea. Digital citizenship is a term that we use to talk about how we engage online, and it includes a lot of different considerations like our digital footprint, etiquette, safety, privacy, literacy, wellness, things like that. So we're going to unpack each one, and for each of those topics, we're going to talk about what's the concern, what could go wrong, and what are some general common sense suggestions for how to protect yourself. Let's start with a digital footprint. So the concern of a digital footprint. Your digital footprint is everything that you post online and anything anyone else posts to you or about you online. That imprint is permanent and it can be searched by any potential employer, a reporter, anyone you want to be in a relationship with, and it can impact the rest of your life. If you are with a group, there's going to be questions down here for you to discuss, like what's more concerning to you, what you post or what others post about you. If you're just doing this at home, you can keep going with me. Otherwise, feel free to pause and have that conversation. So, suggestions to protect your digital footprint are to use your privacy settings on your social media apps. Make sure that your profile is private so that people who you're not friends with can't see it. Don't add anyone as a friend that you don't actually know. At least once a year, take the time to Google for your own name. I find it's helpful if I put in my own name plus the state where I live. That can make it easier to find. See what's out there and see what you can remove. You always want to think twice before you post online. Ask how will it reflect on you and how will it reflect on the person you're posting to or about. And then you can request to have your data removed using personal data removal companies. There's a bunch of them out there. So if you just Google for that, you can find ones like Delete Me that will go through and have your data removed. Next, online etiquette. The concern here, there are expectations about how we engage online. We want to be respectful, confidential, things like that. But many of us start using social media before we're old enough to consider those priorities. And if we post when we have a big emotional reaction, even if we are old enough to think better, when our emotions are heightened, sometimes we forget those priorities and we say things that we know we probably shouldn't be saying. So, suggestions for online etiquette. Every time you post, you want to ask yourself, would you be okay if your grandmother saw this? Would you be okay if your boss saw this? And if the answer is no, then we're just not going to post it. You also want to consider confidentiality. You want to protect the identity of yourself, your friends, your classmates, your family members, and not be trying to post things that have too much identifying information. And we want to remind ourselves that our tone does not always read properly online. When you're not there saying it, people can't always tell if you're being sarcastic, for example. So you want to make sure that if someone read it literally, it needs to be okay. And if you don't think it would come off okay literally, then don't post it. The next concern is identity theft. The concern here is that if hackers get your name, your email, your social security number, they can steal your identity. Once they have all that data, they can open up fake accounts in your name, they can open up credit cards in your name, they can buy a house in your name, and all of that would be charged to you. So, suggestions to protect yourself from identity theft. We want to use strong passwords. So, a long password with capital letters, small letters, numbers, symbols, and in unexpected combinations. We always want to use unique passwords. That means you don't have the same password for different websites. If possible, you want to opt into two-factor authentication, where you log in and then they send an email or a text to you on your phone, and then you confirm. Once you're 18, you can choose to freeze your credit. Freezing your credit says no one can open up a credit card or take out a loan in my name until I unfreeze my credit. If you want to learn more about that, you can read the adulting lesson about credit scores and credit cards. Another helpful tip is to keep your software up to date. A lot of times your software company or your computer company, your phone company will have updates that keep you protected. So make sure that you're always taking advantage of those. And avoid public Wi-Fi. Sometimes public Wi-Fi is a little bit shady. You don't know who can hack into your information. Next, phishing and scams. The concern here, our society has a whole thriving industry of people who will try to trick you into revealing your personal information. And there are three categories we want to talk about today. One is phishing. So that's when you get an email that looks like a real email, and it might have a link for you to click that takes you to a fake login page. Or maybe you're on social media and you see something that's like, here's this really cool article, and then you click on it and it says, oh, you have to log in to see it, and it looks just like the login page for that social media, but it's not. And so when you put in your login and your password, you just sent it to the scammers. That includes catfishing. Catfishing is when people pretend to be someone else to try to get you to reveal your information. Famously, that can happen on dating apps, that someone pretends to be someone that they're not, and then they tell you that they've run into financial trouble and they get you to send them money. It could also include scam websites. For example, there are scammers out there who have created kind of mirror identical websites that look like where you renew your passport or where you get your driver's license, but they're not real, and they're hoping that you'll go there and type in everything, right? Your name, your address, your phone number, your social security number, all of that stuff, and then they get your data. All right, so how can we avoid that? If you get an email with a link, never open it from your phone. When you're on your phone, you have a limited ability to see all the details, like, is that email real? So you always want to just leave it alone until you can get to a computer where you can examine it more carefully. If you get an email that seems alarming, like, click now or we're going to close your account, or your bill has not been paid, and you're like, I've never bought anything from that person, do not reply to that email. Do not click on any links in that email. That email is probably just trying to grab your information. If it's claiming to be from a company you're really a part of, so let's say it says it's coming from Venmo and you do have a Venmo account, do not reply to that email. Go log into the Venmo app like you normally would and see if that's there, or contact Venmo's customer service directly. But don't trust that that email that you got that was all alarming is actually from Venmo. Don't ever give your personal information to anyone who calls you. So if you get a phone call claiming to be your bank and saying, we just need your password to be able to do this, do not answer that. You call your bank directly. You look up their phone number, you call them directly and say, did you call me? Is this real? And then you deal with it there. And then big things, just constantly be cross-checking the email address. If you get an email that seems shady in some way, actually open up the email part at the top and look at it. Is it actually the email of the person? It can be faked. So maybe you forward it to that person and say, did you send me this? And just confirm. If it looks like a company website, but it's a little bit off, try leaving that window, close that window, and go directly to the real company website and go from there. The next topic is social media awareness. The concern here is that when we post on social media, those posts can be unintentionally creating safety concerns for us. For example, you could reveal your private information. You could reveal where you are and when your home is unattended. You can be tempted to click on phishing links, and you can be exposed to AI images or posts that make you think that something's real when it's not. So some things we can do to be more aware of our social media usage. We want to be mindful of what you share. Make sure that you're limiting anything that could help people identify you. For example, you don't have to use your real first and last name on your social media accounts, right? You can come up with a nickname for yourself. Vacation photos. If you are out of town, don't be posting while you're on vacation. Wait until you get back. If you're posting while you're gone, that lets other people know that your home is empty and potentially could make you a target for theft. Again, we want to use those privacy settings. Only add people you actually know as friends or followers. Don't click on clickbait articles. If you see an article that makes you think, wait, what? Seriously? And you really want to click on it, but it looks a little bit shady, instead of clicking on it, open up a new window and do a Google search for a real article about it and see if it's out there. For example, I watch a lot of reality television, and I saw one about one of the people being pregnant or going through a divorce. I never click on it through social media. If I really think it might be true, open a new window and Google, is this person pregnant? And it never is real. If something causes a big emotional reaction in you, beware. That's probably something that is trying to get you to click. Do a Google search to see if it's a scam first. It could be something that you agree with, that you're like, yeah, that's amazing. Somebody finally fought back against this situation. And it could be something that makes you really angry and you're like, this is horrible. This is absolutely the worst thing in the world. If you're getting a big reaction, maybe it's not real. So do a quick Google search. Same thing with AI. If you see an image that causes a strong emotional reaction in you, either positive or negative, do a Google search first to see if it's real. Next, we want to consider our professional accounts. The concern here is that sometimes we know when we're on our personal devices and our personal accounts that things can happen that would expose us and we need to be careful. But sometimes if we're on our work device or our work account, we just assume that things are real when they're not. And so we want to make sure that we are using the same level of security at work that we are at home. So what does that mean? Again, we want to use strong passwords and unique passwords. Use the two-factor authentication. But then also don't click on suspicious or alarming links. In my profession, there's a whole series of scams where you get an email that appears to be from your boss saying, hey, will you go out and buy a bunch of gift cards for me and then deliver them to me here? And it's totally a scam. And I've had colleagues text me and be like, oh my word, our boss just emailed me this. I'm like, that's not actually our boss. That's totally a scam. Forward that email to your boss and say, hey, did you send this to me? They're probably going to write back and say, nope, that's a scam, but thanks for letting me know. And then they can email everybody at work and say, hey, please disregard that email. That's not real. Media literacy is the next concern. Our society has a thriving industry of news sources. Some of them are more biased than others. Some publish opinions, some publish conspiracy theories, some fact check, and some do not. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're getting news from a variety of sources and factual sources, because when we only listen to news sources that confirm our own biases, we create what we call an information silo, where we're only reading and hearing the ideas that we already agree with, which may or may not be real. So suggestions. You can go on Google and search for a media bias chart. There are several of them out there. They'll give you examples of like 50 different news sources and they chart them. Are they more conservative? Are they more liberal? Are they more factual? Are they more editorial? And pick 5 to 10 sources that have a reputation for being factual and centered. Then you can go over to your phone, for example, or your laptop and curate your news feed. You tell the news app, these are the news sources that I want to hear from and I don't want the other ones. You want to be aware of confirmation bias. If you see a post or an article that seems to confirm what you already feel or believe, question that and say, okay, can I check to see if this is real? But you also want to be aware of opposition bias. If you see a post or article that seems to go against everything you feel or believe and makes you really upset, you also want to search for that because that might not be real. And then finally, digital health. Being on our screens all day can have some really serious impacts on our wellness and our health, including our eye health. We blink less when we're looking at our screens. Our eye muscles focus at the same distance. That can be bad for our eye muscles. Our spinal health, specifically looking down at a phone, is really rough on our necks. Our emotional health, sometimes being on social media, most people only post the good stuff on social media, and even that might not be real. So it can give us a false perception of how happy or exciting everyone else has in their life. And then also our mental health. Being indoors and online has a lot of negative effects on our mental health. So some suggestions for that. You can use a screen time app to limit your time online. A lot of people go with the 1-1-1 rule, which is you want to set aside 1 hour per day, 1 day per week, and 1 week per year where you log off and just try to be in the physical world and not be online. Be mindful of the apps that are causing you stress and distress. Can you remove them? Can you just delete them? Engage in a screen-free hobby. Go hiking, go geocaching, go play something, go see your friends, go to the beach. Take time for physical movement every day. Prioritize face-to-face conversations and voice. Actually call somebody on the phone instead of texting them. You can wear blue light blocking glasses to protect your eyes. And you can adjust your notification settings on your phone so it isn't pulling your attention quite so constantly. All right, those are the main ideas. I want you to jot down what are 3 big ideas you want